this is when the brown stuff started to go in the fan. We had a call from a local school, secondary school, around about 600 pupils. They said that they had something funny with their network and there was a note on it and nobody could really log on. So I turned up and found some very frazzled admins. They take me to a server and the mouse is just moving around. There's live C2 running, there's AnyDesk on the machine, and at that point it's like, right, we're going to pull the school from the internet because they're going to damage stuff, and then we might reconnect it to find out more about the attacker. So we hadn't planned this. We hadn't had a discussion with the government because we're government employees, so storing malware on a government network, not exactly allowed. So we ended up having laptops like this, bought quickly, had no tools, bought a hard drive, downloaded some tools, turned up at the school. Pretty much the whole of the infrastructure was ransomware. One of the key things that we had to do very early on, and this is one of the lessons you'll have to make imperfect choices, was we had to pick a date to restore back because the school had to be up and running by the 10th of January for exams. Otherwise, it gets really bad. So this was the admins and the network people. They weren't having much of a Christmas. I wasn't having much of a Christmas. So we picked a date, and that date was early in December. And so they started the process of restoring the systems from a Veeam. They built a Veeam server, started restoring them. That carried on. And eventually I started to get some logs or some images from older systems. And basically I ended up doing a large amount of forensics. Eventually I found the source of it, which was they'd had a Microsoft Exchange server, so it was a hybrid on-prem cloud type thing. And they were already using 365, and they'd forgotten about it. And if you know much about Exchange server vulns, there was a whole load of them in December that year. There was 3 that were chained. And yeah, that's how they got in. There was also another system port forwarded out to the internet for a teacher. But yeah, the attacker tried to thwart forensics, and we eventually found out there had been multiple threat actors in the environment since the beginning of it, since January. And the incident will not be resolved till September 2023 because we have to live with the imperfect. Okay, I've got a bit more. I can tell you a bit more then. Right. So the school is currently what's in, quote, limp along mode. That means there's an extreme amount of logging. The domain controllers on-prem that were restored back to the early December, but we actually found evidence of crypto miners in October, missed Cobalt Strike beacons. And if you ever want to sort of thank going to a conference, I went to B-Sides London 3 days before this incident. So I do want to publicly thank Didier Stevens for his class on Cobalt Strike because it was absolutely invaluable. But other things happened. 3 days into the incident, I wanted to work on the weekend, and somebody in the government had fat-fingered a PowerShell script and locked my account out for the weekend in the middle of an incident. So that's why we need separate infrastructure, which is just happening now. And if you'd like to know more about it, and if you did want to see the 120-page forensic report with all the PowerShell malware and the rest of it, you can come and find me afterwards.
And I just have to say, Paul mentioned imperfect choices. One of my first choices I had to make was whether I let him go in a hands-on with an organisation's infrastructure the week he started work. So one of the lessons in here, I think, is, yes, trust your team. I'm really glad, Paul, you said you hadn't planned this, because otherwise I would have been concerned.
So no doom and gloom, no ransomware or something. Things that are a little bit crooked in the screen, but okay. So let's see. Would like to talk about something a bit more cheerful. That is to share some material that we have that you can use for free. So it's all Creative Commons. So I would just like to see, last year and this year, we're talking that we need to teach people something more positive or something in a more positive way than just to say that bad guys are going to hack in their computers and they should run under the bed or something like that. So for more than 20 years, we have been doing like really bad stuff, like to have an FAQ for end users, to having more like information and data that is more usable. But the biggest challenge nowadays is how to get meaningful and actionable tips for people that have like the attention span of like 15-second videos on Instagram or Reels or something like that. So after much debate, we set up on having like, yes, still written materials, because sometimes it's nice to say that you need to like have better passwords, and then, okay, what's a better password? Or something like that. So we focus on having like one tip that is self-contained, like an intermediate user should look at that, okay, I know how to do it. Like another user say, but why should I do it? Then they go there and we give like some reasoning. And then, okay, but how do I do it? And some tips that would be a little bit more detail on doing that. And of course, some boxes or links or something like that. This material is all Creative Commons. We have it already in Portuguese and Spanish published. The Spanish translation we are publishing in a portal, and more for Latin America Spanish. So we have a translator that takes care of several countries and like doing transliteration more than translation, really to fit in there. We have materials for kids, and here's a big thank you for the NCSCFI, the Finnish guys, they translated it to Finnish. They are using that in schools in several places, so this is more a material really to get kids away from screens and thinking about understanding, like, my mom's computer says to me that there is a virus. Is this a good guy or a bad guy? So it's more into that vibe, and it's really a material that's more fun. We are like partnering with some schools as well. And as I said before, we hope, no, not in October, we hope we finish the translation. It's already translated, is in the final design phase, to have it in Spanish as well for Latin American public. We also did some paper characters, so we have like some videos that parents already sent of like the kids having the firewalls trying to get the spywares not to get into the network, and the AVs taking on the other characters, and they can print at home, create that, and it's really more like for a fun experience. We have some other materials from other areas, but I think one in special that I would like to share is the Internet Citizen project. That is a project from CertPR and the network engineering guys and our legal department, that we have it already in English and Spanish and Portuguese. That is a little bit on how to be responsible online and how to have like even some like troubleshooting for internet infrastructure. This is 15-second videos. And actually, if you just go there, there is a support this initiative logo that you go there, upload your logo, and you can have all the videos with your, it's Creative Commons. You can just download it like with your logo and use it whenever and whatever you want. And the formats are actually, you can have it in YouTube, of course. So if you have a video, you need to have it. But you can also have an MP4 or something. There's also animated GIFs for WhatsApp or whatever that you want for your family. And this is more or less the look and feel, and like the themes, like safe shopping, how to create a strong password, how to use a password manager and stuff. And as I say, it's all Creative Commons. So if you want to use as is, just use it. If you want your logo applied for the PDFs, you need to contact us. Then we generate a version for you. So if you want to translate, contact us. We provide the full PSDs, images, and everything else. And if you want the Internet Citizen, just go there. And then here I'm just going to plug, if you want to go to Brazil in October, this is the city where we are having the symposium. So, you know, much better, nice weather. It's not going to be cold. So it's just like my merci, thank you. So hope to see you there.
Here and let's show the demo gods.
Yeah. This is it cool, now it's up there.
Oh, okay, that's what you were trying to signal. Aha.
Now it's working.
So, are you going to talk from where are you?
Yeah, I'm going to talk from here as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget to introduce yourself and
yeah,
let me know.
Cool. My name is Niklas Kaiser. I work at Trusec. I do malware analysis. My cable didn't work from there, so I'm doing it from here. Hope you don't mind. And yeah, I want to show you some Qbot stuff because they are prevalent. Thank you to Patrick showing the Bumblebee. This is the same stuff. We have seen this in ransomware incident, and I'm going to do a live demo. And hopefully, I will do this in 5 minutes. So the first one, this is from a ransomware sample. So if we open this one, you will see what happened. It looks like this. And they try to trick the users by looking at this stuff. And if we move away this one, you see, oh, there's some interesting stuff here. Let's take that out from that file and see what it contains, that attachment. Oops. And now the demo gods is not on my side. But here we go. And let's see, we'll open this file, and it contains this thing here. We see that's a regex, but there's something interesting up here as well. So let's have a look at that one. And that put into CyberChef. If there is someone from NCS UK here, thank you very much for this awesome tool. And we do a find replace here. And you will see, and we put in 30K here. And we see we have a new script down here. And all we can see is downloading a picture, but then it sort of runs it with run DLL 32 and then a picture. If something with run DLL tries to load a picture, that's malware. Hunt for that. That's really, really bad stuff. This is actually from a malware, ransomware campaign. Let's see, sample number 2. And here we go. If we open this one, it looks like this instead. And if we remove this one, we see we have another interesting file here. Let's copy this one over here. If we see something interesting with this one, it has this temp path.1. You see it's a one file, but compared to the other one, it's a OneNote file as well. But it has a HTML application. How does this work? If we press F2 here, we see something really weird. You see, it sort of highlights the first part and the second part. What does this mean? If we start looking at this in a command prompt, let's see. We do dir here. We see it says temp something strange, .hta. But this one says 1 at the end. How does this work? Let's start PowerShell and see what kind of shenanigan this is. What we can do, we can list this stuff and typo and like this, and then we do the format hex, and we do coding, and we do like that, and we see 4000, but we see the stuff change here. And that is actually Unicode for left to right. So in the middle of the file name, it changed the order. So all of a sudden, you need to read it backwards. So it says HTA 1.hta. So that's a way to also try to fool the user. So if you see a strange character loaded by OneNote, that's probably malware. And if we look at that last one, how am I doing on time? Yeah. Am I good on time? Am I good on time? 2 minutes. Okay, that's
My bad.
Yeah.
It's a good demo.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm waiting for it to fail because you're doing really great here.
Yeah.
Showing dedication.
Yeah. Let's start process monitor here and see. Let's start this last one, sample 3. So I open it, and where do we go? And it crashed. So okay. I have 2 minutes. Let's see if I can do this in 2 minutes.
Oh, heck, you can download another sample.
And let's see. Now, let's start it. Yes, it started. Open the section, and we see, no, it crashed. Crap. One more try. Open the section, and let's see if we can start this one. Anyway.
See how hard OneNote tries to protect the user?
Yeah, it does. So I started to, the thing is, okay, I have this one here. The payload, it's a file called .com file. .com file is not a URL. It's actually, let's see if it worked or not. It might have protected me. Okay. Now, it's a .com file that starts. So if you see OneNote being executing .com, especially from Outlook, it's also bad stuff because it's an old executable that's crashed. But 2 out of 3, that's okay, isn't it? Thank you very much.
Yay! Okay. Woo! No, it's good. It's good.
Hey,
What the
guy,
hell?
you have to stand right there. There. Now you're good. Ah!
you're shaking the stage. That's what's doing it. All right. Okay. Let me rewind. So what
sorry,
is
man.
Kestrel? Yeah, sorry, no problem. So Kestrel is a universal threat hunting language that we have in the Open Cybersecurity Alliance. So it's 100% open source. And what it is it's all about letting threat hunters focus on what they're trying to focus on, which is what they're actually looking for, as opposed to how to go and look for it. So, you know, what's interesting, what's suspicious, what's connected. There's a whole bunch of operators to walk process trees and walk graphs of information inside of your cybersecurity data. And the motivation for it is to enable collaboration in cybersecurity, because one of the problems with threat hunting is you can develop a great hunt, and that hunt will work on whatever SIM or EDR tool you're using, but when you're trying to collaborate with another person who's using a different EDR or SIM, and they can't use that hunt procedure that you have, right? So you either have to have people that know all the different tools or some other subject matter expertise to do the translation. So with Kestrel, what we're trying to do is create this universal hunting language that will work across all the different tools that we all have. And I'll go really quickly over how that works here in a second. So how does Kestrel do that magic where it can operate across all these different tools? Well, it rides on top of this other project that we've got called StickShifter. And without going into all the weeds of StickShifter, the TLDR is it's kind of like Sigma, and most people here are familiar with Sigma, but StickShifter does it in both directions, right? So in addition to taking the thing that you're looking for and having that universal rule or pattern and translating it into, you know, CrowdStrike and QRadar and Elasticsearch and Splunk and blah, 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 it'll do that translation, but then it'll take the information that comes out of that thing and it'll normalize it all to the exact same format based on the STIX2 data ontology. So because it does that, all the data looks the same, smells the same, feels the same, and it lets Kestrel operate on top of that data, no matter what tool it's coming from. So it's like Sigma, but both directions, and that's the important part. So what does this let you do? You know, really quick example of some of the pseudocode here, and I'm playing through the animations really quickly. You know, you can go, so in this scenario here, you've got a laptop, it's spawning a process with PowerShell, and I'm going out and I'm looking for information from that host where there's a certain score that's greater than 7, and you can see that you can start to walk the process tree, so you can actually get child processes based on the parent. And you'll see this apply keyword as well. So there's this notion in Kestrel of applying an analytic to your data. And Kestrel lets you, there's a library of analytics that we provide on GitHub, but you can also build and contribute your own, and it's really easy. And you can write them in Python, you can write them in any language that'll run in Docker. You can also write them in anything you want and expose it as a REST endpoint and point the runtime at it. And what those analytics can do is it can take the data, you can enrich the data, pivot the data, you can run machine learning on it, you can do like literally anything you want. And again, because this is all decoupled from the tool, that analytic now works across your whole suite, and you can share it with somebody else who uses totally different tools. So it's a great force multiplier, great enabler for hunters to collaborate across organizations. You know, so here's just, you know, really brief example. I took some screenshots off of GitHub showing you, you know, we've got that library of analytics I just talked about. We've also got libraries of hunt books themselves that we're trying to build. So when you create these hunts to go and execute in Jupyter, because they're reusable and composable, we have this idea of like, well, the community can share and collaborate on these things across these tools and post them on GitHub. And we call those things hunt books. So wrap it up, there's actually a live demo that you can run because, so folks who are familiar with Jupyter Notebooks may know there's this service called Binder. And it's a free community service that lets data science folks run their notebooks in the cloud. And it's, you know, it's funded by Google and a bunch of other entities through a nonprofit. So we've actually created a Binder demo for Kestrel and posted it. So if any of this stuff is interesting to you, you can go to the Kestrel website and click on a link that says try this in Binder, and you can run it right in your web browser and run through all the Hello World tutorials and just try it out. So yeah, if it's interesting, Go try it out. Nothing to install, nothing to deploy. All runs in the cloud in your web browser. If it looks good, then you can download and clone the repo and get cracking. So.
Thanks, Jason. Next up, we have Control plus Collaborate. Let's join forces. Let's do.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Senna Assa.
My name is Robin Sta. We both work at the National Cybersecurity Center of the Netherlands. I'm a threat analyst over there.
And I'm a relationship manager, specifically focusing on OT security. This is our very first, so we're very excited to be here. We've been roaming around all week, attending all these awesome presentations, all these awesome talks, so we kind of got inspired today to just take the stage ourselves for a minute. And Robin's going to kick us off and tell us why we're here.
Yes. So, yeah, why are we here? We would just really like to take a little bit of time, of your time, to talk about something that's very close to our hearts, and that is the power of collaboration and really using different perspectives and different types of expertises yeah, to strengthen the resilience, overall digital resilience, because we really need each other. And cybersecurity is not just technical, it's really broader. So that's why we're here, taking a little bit of your time.
Yeah, it's pretty much the foundation of the work that we do, so that's why I wanted to share more about collaboration.
So yeah, we use this power of collaboration and the different perspectives within the NCSC as well. We try to use this by working in multidisciplinary teams. So we have a team made up of not only like analysts, but of different co-workers. For example, Senna and I both work on OT, operational technology, and I'm an analyst. Senna as a relationship manager, and then we have a team where we also have a data analyst, we have technical specialists, and we really try to use these different perspectives to get a more holistic understanding of operational technology. And yeah, for us, it's working really well.
Yeah, I think it's successful, and sometimes we match clothes, so that's nice. Yeah, and we also work with external organizations, our partners, our stakeholders, and we really focus on building trust. Because with trust, you share more knowledge, information, and we've been successful at that as well. So we have set up different ISACs. For example, I'm leading an OT ISAC. We have working groups, and we exchange liaisons as well. And it's been really fun doing that as well.
Yeah, it's really the power of our organization that we have such close relationships with our constituents.
And that was our really brief talk. Thanks for your time, for listening. If you have questions, want to share ideas, want to know our hair routine, everything is welcome. Just find us and have a chat.
Yeah, and we would also like to invite you for a workshop that I'm doing together with my colleague Bart, who's sitting over there. Bart.
Tall Dutch guy.
Wave. It's a workshop on building a threat landscape. And in the workshop, we're going to introduce the methodology that we use at NCSC&L to really stimulate collaboration and dialogue between different stakeholders. So yeah, please join tomorrow. It's going to be very interactive. We're super excited. So it'll be great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity to present. A very short 5-minute talk, I hope, on visualizing shadow server datasets for fun and nonprofit. So this is a project we have got funding for last year from the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. And the idea is to visualize all the datasets that we collect. And we collect pretty large datasets from scanning, honeypot sensors, sinkholing, malware, and lots of other methods. And we thought it would be a good idea. Of course, we share the raw data with you as the community for your networks or countries. But we thought it would be a good idea to visualize everything we have or start visualizing what we have for everybody to have have an overview of the country or regional level, and we'll also be working on individual networks in the future as well, although that will not be public. So you can visit the website at dashboardshadowserver.org. Pretty good overviews, I think, of effects of malware sinkholing in different countries, external asset exposure, DDoS attacks, and a lot of even like industrial control systems that we see exposed, speaking over 18 native protocols. So you can see stuff like, for example, top countries infected in our sinkholes, and we sinkhole over 400 malware families, and hopefully adding more and more there every day. India on top, any other country, quite a few others as well. You can visualize this on a world map, tree maps, or tables, charts of very, very different kinds. Android infections, breakdown of all the Android infections we see. Interestingly, it's mostly in Asia and Africa, by far compared to Europe or the US. And it's all updated essentially daily from our sinkholes. With all our scan data, so we scan the internet now 200 times, maybe every day for various applications, external endpoints. And we collate all that information with a scanning rule engine, where we try to classify essentially what the device on the other side is. So it can be like any gear from a firewall manufacturer, or it can be an IP camera, or sometimes we just go for an application. Like, for example, MoveIt is a thing we are fingerprinting now with the incidents going on there. But you can get a breakdown essentially of every country and every region in your country as well, and what we see in terms of external asset exposure. And we see things like iRobot Roombas, for instance. There are a few hundred that are actually exposed. How somebody does that is beyond me, but there they are, right? A few hundred Roombas out there. And you can find other weird stuff also on the dashboard. We also track all the top exploited vulnerabilities that we see in our sensors. So these are honeypot sensors that emulate devices of various manufacturers, and then hopefully attract attention of attackers. And some just are more targeted, others just spray their exploit around, or they're just essentially just a botnet behind all of this. And we have our own classifier that essentially engages with the attacker, pulls down the malware, then tracks the malware, but also identifies the CVE that is being used for exploitation, which we then feed, for example, to the EPSS project for the prediction of which actually exploits are actually in use. And it's also been used for SysAkev, which we also try to match ourselves. We also take the results of our scans, so all the external endpoints, and map them to all the IPs we see launching attacks on the internet. So at a given point in time, we can see which group of devices has been hacked or compromised in any way and is being used for subsequent attacks. It's not always possible, because sometimes it's not really possible to remotely fingerprint an IP, especially since we have to work on the entire internet IPv4 and 1 billion IPv6 addresses, and we have to do this in 24 hours for the data to make it here. But we do get insights into what devices are being hacked at a given point in time and what are being used to launch further attacks. So if you visit the dashboard, you can have a full overview of essentially thousands of different device types and their activity at a given point in time. So for example, we see, interestingly, another interesting example, a few compromised yachts, mostly actually in the Netherlands, and they're busy brute forcing the IP next to you, basically, right? And that's based on a software called Yacht Control, which is apparently used for managing and operating yachts, especially in the Netherlands. So that's an example of the weird devices or things you see attacking you on the internet. Progress MoveIt transfer exposure, that's a big developing incident, so we scanned for that as well. We share this information, the raw information, the IP information, with the rightful owners of that information, so the national CSIRTs and the owners of the vulnerable instances. But you can also track how many we see exposed around the world at a given point in time on the dashboard by looking into our IoT device statistics. We've recently also received UK funding again to actually translate the dashboard into multiple languages. So we support Arabic now and Indonesian, Malaysian, Filipino, and Thai. And if you would like to see the dashboard translated into your language, we're happy to help. Yeah, and that's it really. I think it's a free resource. It really gives you an overview of the entire internet in multiple ways. So hopefully it's useful. Thank you.
Are you introducing yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Vegard, MSSP guy, Norway. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Thank you. Right, so I don't even need 5 minutes. I thought I'd just quickly plug our local TC that we have in Oslo on behalf of the Norwegian community. So that happens annually in October each year. We do a training workshop. Training workshop, 1 day of workshop. I think we're gonna have perhaps Aaron, who was sitting on the front row here earlier, doing a workshop on Jupyter notebooks and stuff, training workshop. So that's pretty cool. Then we do 1 day of security monitoring talks and 1 day of incident response talks, and we also have a community dinner downtown in Oslo. We'll be on a esports convention center this time. That's the first, so that's kind of cool. It's not Brazil, but it's still kind of nice in Oslo in October. So if you're from Sweden, at least I expect you to come, right? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I only need that minute. See you there. Look for me or Lina over there. Yeah, look for any of us who has Norway on our badges and talk to us if you have a talk as well, because we still have vacant spots on our program. Yep, thank you.
So I will make this quick because I know I'm between you and beers. So I just wanted to quickly say, I'm Brian de Wingart. I work at CISA in threat hunting, and I've been working on a project for a number of years to automate incident reporting via sticks. And so why this is important. CISA has a law that's going to require critical infrastructure operators and owners to report covered cyber incidents. And in prep for this, we are hoping to get the machine-to-machine reporting up in time to support the law's implementation in 25. So why I'm talking about it here. This community should take a look at the work we're doing, at what's up there, and we want your feedback, because right now this is being done really between DHS and DC3 in the US government. And we would love your feedback to make sure we get this right, because I'd like this to be an open standard for all of us. So anyway, that's it. I just want awareness and a discussion, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. So, I mean, if what's the next action, folks, click the link and they can follow up.
Yeah. Yep. My email's there this time, so you didn't have to come ready to get a business card from me. And the QR codes are for the links because they're horrible. So.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody for participating, and have a lovely evening.